to go over our studies. Lord, we ask that today, that as we share, and as our pastor leads this discussion, that we are enlightened by the information and the knowledge that's in these books that we've been reading. Simplifying our life, Lord, because anything that's connected with you is not complicated at all. And I thank you for simplifying my life, simplifying the lives of the people that are here and those that will be listening live. In Jesus' name, amen. So the chapter that has stood out so far in the second half of what we've been doing is about your circle of friends. And again, it was simplified, and they broke it down into those 7. And as I was going through the 7, I believe that I have warded off most of those, the influence that people can have on you. So when you say 7, how does somebody know what 7 is? Because that doesn't mean everybody's read. Yeah, I didn't get a chance to study and memorize on my.
So maybe take your book and then you do it another way. In the meantime, while he's getting himself together, then you talk about your initial takeaway.
So, my life verse, I've never heard that before. And so that was my one takeaway, to find my life verse. So I've been searching the scripture and just thinking about it. I've done my one word, but the one life scripture is really, really different. So I noticed in this book that it gave us a lot of homework to do. And I like that. That was pretty cool. So my life verse that I'm working on, that I believe that I'm on the right track with, is Philippians 2:12 through 13. So that's going to be my life verse. And then the circle of friends. Thank you. Yes, my team. Philippians 2.
Well, go on. We're fine. We're
But
fine.
anyway, so my wrap up out of this so far is to be single-minded, focused on God, on what God has called me to and who God has called me to be intentional about keeping my life uncluttered. And we're talking about my schedules, tasks, projects, things of that nature, making sure that there is order, and this includes rest. Rest is very important. And then this leads me to have more energy. Next, it's my responsibility to keep my bucket full and not let it get depleted. And then it talked about different ways that we can replenish ourselves, stay connected to God, get rest, things of that nature. What he talked about, getting in the chair, things of those things that we can do to replenish ourselves. And then stay involved and connected to positive people, and then always be in a position to be a lifetime learner, like we're doing now, participating in these Bible book studies that Pastor is doing. And then also allow God to be in charge of my schedule. So that's what I've gleaned so far.
All right, so hold on. He's got the passage.
Philippians 2:12 through 13.
Alrighty, Philippians 2:12 through 13 says, "So then, my beloved, even as ye have always obeyed, not in my presence only, but now much more in my absence, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. For it is God who's worketh in you both to will and to work for his good pleasure."
Yeah. And then it talked about it clarifies what matters in the world, that it calls me out to be the absolute best in my life, and then it gives me enormous comfort. So I was laying that scripture on those as the baseline that he gave us. And so Philippians 2, verses 12 through 13.
Okay, all right. All right, so now DeWan is back. Now DeWan is back. Now, so the handout that you all were given this morning should help you as far as what you're reading now to know how to apply. You can take this as a framework and know now this is the incorporation of it. Okay?
So the first one, as far as those things that we need to avoid being around, because it can rub off. They definitely can rub off. Sometimes it might be able to rub off unconsciously. You don't even know it. And so thank God that I've just didn't hang around a lot of people. Hang around. Now, I know some people, but that inner circle, very small, very small. Those naughty eyes, lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood. And they talked about that young man that had that experience in camp. And when they went and killed that animal, and they was taking joy in it. But the thing about it is that they were so happy with being friends with this guy. And he made a decision, but he didn't report it. He didn't say anything about it, and that thing stuck with him. We kind of talked about that today. Things that happen in your childhood can have an effect on you today. That's got to be a scary feeling. And every time you think about somebody doing something like that, it actually did affect him. It's still affecting him right now. Yeah. Yeah, took him right there. Then we got people that like to plot on others. That's sad. I've seen it. Actually, I've shown my son through basketball, the coaches and the parents and all of this. I showed him how a coach was being talked about, his ability to coach. Now, his parents got their son on his team, but they all talking about him behind his back. I said, now, Jamari, watch when this coach comes over and everything changes. All of a sudden, they did the hug, what I call the black man hug, the handshake. We come in, we grip each other. All that's going on, but they was roasting him. You know, I showed him how when you're a decent basketball player, people want you on their team. And they don't care about the parent or anybody. They will go directly to your child and try to maneuver them to leave the team that they own to come to their team. Had a chance to show him that. I said, now watch when your daddy leave your presence. Walked away. I stood in the background, watched him come over and start talking to him. You know, of course, I came back, let him know who the daddy was. Feet that quickly rush to evil. That's self-explanatory. A false witness who pours out lies. Ooh. And a person who stirs up conflict in the community. And they really can. And we really can. Because the community don't necessarily mean St. Louis. It could mean the community we got right here. It don't take but one person to say something that has a aroma of what we think too. Just a little bit of aroma. Yeah, I'm with them. And now that group tends to grow because this person likes that person, and this is my partner. Now we got a whole group of dissension going around. So we got to be careful of all of that. So that's my takeaway for today so far. Yeah. I'll just give it to him.
The chapter on the friends really stood out for me. About friends.
Talking as though someone has not been exposed to anything you're saying. So we have to say it in a way that they can get something from it as well. Because if you start talking to people, they're not going to have a book in front of them when you're talking to them about what you learned. So we have to talk like they know nothing, and we're bringing this all together for them.
Okay, so you want me to, it's from chapter 7.
That's now that's chapter 7 is what?
I don't have, well, hold on. What's in that? from isolated to connected.
Okay. Now, see, now it can all make sense when you say something.
Okay, so this chapter stood out for me, and I am a reading specialist, so I couldn't, everything in this chapter just stood out. So some of the things that stood out to me were your friends that you grew up with and how we expect them to stay the same, but they don't. I had friends that I grew up with that end up moving to another state. This particular friend is still a friend. So the part is when I get around that particular person, it's like we never missed a beat with our friendship. Also, the other one that stood out to me was the circumstantial friends. That deals more with kind of like with your job. And what I'm saying right now from the book, they kind of say those are not your friends really, but I beg to differ. I worked in the school district for a while, and so I did establish some friends, some dear friends. And so I have to say that those friends were dear friends for me. I actually went out with a couple of school friends, and we were sitting around the table, and we were talking about things that were going on in our lives. And so I'm familiar with these ladies, so I remember we would come to the school and pray around the building and pray for the teachers and those kind of things. But some things have changed and lives have changed within that circle. And so when I was sitting at the table, only thing I could hear was hopelessness. It was like everything they've been through is just like there's nothing there to it was just like it was hopeless. So what I end up doing is actually calling this particular lady, and I asked her, could I have lunch with her? So we sat at the table, and I was talking to her. So nobody can take nothing from you that belongs to you. And so she says, I know that. And so the part is I told her I couldn't tell because you were doing a whole bunch of complaining. So I wanted to know where was your faith? And she let me know that her faith is still there. She was saying that the 25 years that she served as a teacher or as a principal was lost. And I said, well, no. I said, you helped me a lot. So she was saying, well, my goal was to reach the children. I said, you have reached the children. You made a lot of difference with them. And so I was letting her know a lot of things that she's done for me has been a blessing as well. So I guess what I'm saying, these people that you come in contact with, even though you feel like you would have been with them for your whole life, which didn't happen. So I guess what I'm saying, the next thing that I want to talk about was the inner.
Hold on. Before you go there, I want you to understand circumstantial friends that go beyond circumstances, environment are the exception, never the rule. You could have great times with people interacting with them in that space, and I mean, it is such a bountiful time, but you'll find few transfer outside of that. Most do not. Now, if you come back into that environment, it picks back up, but as a general rule, that's not the norm. So that's why you see it explained that way. It may happen. Most of the time it doesn't. And how can you tell? You go back and look at all the people in that same environment that you had interaction with and ask yourself, how far has it gone outside of that? In most cases, you find that it is not.
Okay. So I guess what I'm saying, that was not the case for me.
No, don't do that.
Okay.
Don't do that. Listen to what I said. That's the exception. So that it was the case for you because you found out even in that conversation, you don't really want to be around them.
Correct.
Now, okay. That's what I mean. So no, these are not the kind you say, come on, let's go. You're like, ooh, I'm glad I know. It was more so that. So yes, so there are those that might, but most of the time that's not the case at all. Most of the time that's not the case. I mean, they are great during that space, but so many times you don't want them outside of that space. They all don't transfer.
You're correct.
The same way everybody in the church doesn't transfer. They're great in church. but you're not necessarily interested beyond that. That's just the truth. That is just the truth. Because some of the talking they do inside, you're not trying to hear that outside. I'm just having real talk with you all, right? Okay, all right, go on.
And so the other part that stood out to me for that chapter were the inner circle. The inner circle. They had 2 of them, which was very interesting. One of the circles was 3 good friends, and I was trying to compare with my life. So I do have good friends that are in an inner circle, but I also have established another circle, which is another inner circle. That what I talk to that other circle, I don't talk to the other circle.
All right,
So-
okay, hold on, because you'll run people and confuse them.
Okay.
All right. There's a circle, and we've talked about this. There's a circle,
Correct.
there's an inner circle, and there's an innermost circle. They're different. Now, when you said you have this different circle, one of them has to be closer to you than the other one.
Correct.
So if it's one closer than what you call inner, then that's an innermost.
Okay.
Now, how Jesus modeled that, he modeled that, and you look at the numbers, the disciples were his circle. Let's just say the disciples and others who followed him, his circle. The inner circle would have been Peter, James, and John. That's inner circle. His innermost circle was John. So there's a distinction, things that he talked to him about, he did not talk to Peter and James about, because that stepped beyond where the other one was. So we have those types of things that may be the case. But you can't, if they were circle, then you would have been saying the same thing to them, and they all would have been in the same circle.
There was another circle. I think there were siblings. Martha and Mary and Lazarus. And to me, it sounded like that was a place where he was very comfortable with. Like he can actually hang out or lay down or whatever. Is that considered the innermost circle?
No. I just explained the innermost circle.
Okay.
The things that he said to John, he would not say to Lazarus, Mary, and Martha.
Okay.
No. Things that he said to Peter, James, and John, he did not say to Mary, Martha, and Lazarus, because they were in a different place than they were. So again, that would have been a close circle, but that was for a different reason. Some confidence, some confiding things he would not have said to them, they would have said to Peter, James, and John, because they were not on mission in the same way. And what you'll find is there are some people who you are close to, and there are people who you're closer to. Now, there's a distinction, and that doesn't mean you're not close to them, but there's some other people you're closer. Some people you're close to, you're not going to tell them what you say to somebody who's closer. And just as you know, it's some things some of you all will probably say to me, you're not going to say to some other people. You think? Okay. Now, that doesn't mean you don't like them, but you probably won't say the same thing to them. And okay, so anyway, that's another story. And there's some people who you may do some things with in a larger group and enjoy it. But it's some in that group you would have a different exchange with than everybody in that group. And you like that group and you like hanging out with them, but you just won't do it. It's like some other ones that you gravitate toward that you probably would not for all. You say, I'm not going to talk to all 6 of you all about it, but it's 2 that I will. Right. That's how it is. So those are the layers. Those are the distinctions that are there, and that really is healthy. You're not keeping something from them. They just don't belong in that space.
So can you have 2 separate inner circles that don't interact with one another?
Not possible.
Okay.
Because which one do you lean on the most? That's the inner.
Now I think
That's the inner.
I don't think I lean on them as a group. So you're right. In my inner circle, there's like a John. So yeah, I got
It
you.
really is different, and
Yeah.
that doesn't mean you don't like them. It's nothing personal. It's just, and here's the thing: you could have some fantastic relationships in a workspace. I mean, they've got your back. They got you covered. It's all of that. But there are some parts of your world you're not letting them in. It just isn't. And I mean, and you really like them and you really want to be around them, but it's just some parts of your world you're just not letting them in.
Yeah. You know, Pastor, I have a group of friends that are from childhood. Couple was in my wedding. Then I have a group they kind of newer. I'm the youngest in this group, and I'm the oldest in this other group. And I actually at home have a picture with me with individual with both groups. You know, you seen that picture, Tracy? The picture. So I'm about to think on that. Okay, that's because they're all close to me.
But you won't have to think long. All you have to do is look at who do you talk to the most and who do you say things that you don't want everybody to know too.
Okay.
You answer your own question. It's pretty simple. It's pretty simple. Like, I'm not talking to them.
I wouldn't want to leave them out though, like they're not special.
Emotions taking you over. Okay, that's pretty much is what that is. You know, we have this sympathy gene down inside of us, and that thing that will get to you. It will mess you up. Again, that's what we've been hammering away about emotions, because what they'll do, you will overcompensate for some detrimental deficits in people's lives. If you remember anything else today, you will overcompensate for detrimental deficits in people's lives because of your emotions, and you feel like you have to or obligated, and you really are not. You're not mistreating them by not telling them everything. Yeah, I mean, just not. That probably should have been tweeted or quoted. Okay, that one probably need to go. Yeah. Because it's so normal, it's so natural that the people who we think highly of, don't want to disappoint, don't want to let down, we compensate, we cover for, we go out of our way, and they aren't even an asset. They're not a very real asset. When you got to overcompensate for somebody, they're not a real asset. You're their asset. They're not yours. That's even more there, right? That's even more. You're their asset. You're their supply. They're not yours.
So in the first part of chapter 7, when the family was planning the funeral, and it turned out that it was way less than what they thought. So that's kind of breaking it down. Yeah, some people didn't see you that way. Yeah.
Well, but it's, hey, people will talk. There is such a thing that's called what's in it for me. Okay, you just gotta know. Some people love being around you, don't they, Paula? Because they hope some of you rub off on them. Okay, they hope some of you rub off. Now, I want you to look on page 172. Remember, I want you to just look at that just for a minute and go back where it says stupid rubs off. Okay, just stupid rubs off. And that's in line with 1 Corinthians 15:33. I mean, just think about it. Because if you don't put it in place, if you don't have clearly defined boundaries, which is at some point we'll spend some time talking about boundaries, then people will put temporary ones there for you, but they get to use the chalk. All right, so there goes another one. They get to use the chalk. You don't. If you don't draw them, somebody will draw them for you. And they will make you into what they want you to be. And you'll find yourself complying. You will comply because you did not have anything already in place. just think about it. The people who you see right now, this is from a natural perspective. The people that you see, the problem is not people running stop signs and running red lights. Because in their minds, they're not running stop signs and red lights. They don't have boundaries. It's so much deeper. It's so much deeper than the other. They don't have boundaries. Because therefore, what they're telling you is authority is non-existent to me. Yeah. They're lawless. Okay, and then so as a result, it's like, what am I doing, or what do you think that I'm doing? I'm not doing anything. This is just what I do. I do what I want to do, and I have no regard for what anybody thinks. So the issue isn't a stop sign. The issue isn't a traffic light. So when you put it all in perspective, then it frees you from looking at the way people do something, because the other side to that, okay, here's another one. We tend to transfer our values onto other people who cannot even contain one. Oh, okay. All right. So why don't you put that out there? Just gonna put that out there. You transfer no, why don't you put that out there? We need to put this out there out here. We need to post these things. These are things that people will get. I mean, that's another one. You transferring these values over to people, and they can't hold one. So you got to catch these. You got to catch these and go. You got to catch them and go when they come, because it's going to help. It's going to help somebody. Go on.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't, but I'm always talking about the next door neighbors. I mean, definitely don't have the same values. I mean, it seems like they smoking weed all day long, every day.
Praise the Lord. She's being converted the more she talks, but go on. No, just keep on talking. The more you talk, the more converted you become. Keep on talking. She's cleansing herself
Just,
by talking out loud. Now go on.
Well, yeah. I mean, just yeah.
Because she knows I don't pay any attention to it. But go on. She knows I don't pay any attention. But go on. More you talking, she's getting
Yeah,
cleansed.
the
She's
young
getting
lady-
cleansed.
The young lady's pulling out the trash can instead of the man that's living there. Yeah, that's
The more
that's-
she's getting it all out. Come on, get it all out. Just
Yeah.
keep on. keep on going. And are you sure that's it? Because I'm sure that there's more. But keep on.
Oh, just yeah. I'm some things I just really don't want to say. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, they just kind of irk me.
Okay. All right. Uh, so when we again, when we are not, so what this should be doing right now, what this particular piece should be saying is, you don't have to complicate all of this. It says make the adjustments to things that you have to do, so that you don't feel like you've been invaded upon. So much of what we experience, we feel like people are intruding in our lives. And actually, are they intruding? Or is it because we don't have boundaries? So here's another one. Nobody can intrude in your life except you don't have boundaries. So that's your post out there, Paula. That one. Yeah. No, that would be it. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I have a question. It
Okay.
may be connected to what Glenn was saying.
Okay.
I don't know, but we're gonna see where it goes.
Okay.
So on page 237, it talked about like there is a time to be silent, and Solomon says there is also a time to speak.
Right.
And I remember you also talking about like letting people experience you without being like the rehab master.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you connect that like with each other? Because like even like with friends and things like that, like you don't. It talks about right here how you don't want your friend to feel judged, and he talks about how that's being like cowardly and things of
Right.
that nature.
Right.
So how do you interlock both of those?
Both of those
together?
things. The opportunities always present themselves if you're paying attention to the details. If you, when you have a relationship with someone and God has you on assignment, an opportunity will be there for you to speak life words to them. If you're on assignment to them, the circumstance will develop where you will have an opportunity. At that time, the enemy is going to try to tell you you shouldn't, cause you to second guess yourself, to become timid about it, and don't want them to think you know everything. He's going to throw all this stuff at you so that you don't speak life words to them that will, so as a result they'll be set free. It's not judging. It's the opportunity is there. They know you. They've experienced you enough to know that you're not coming at them, but you have to tell the truth because the circumstance will present itself that they're going to say, "What do you think?" Or "Here's what I'm thinking." Or they just talking out loud, and the opportunity is going to be there if you pay attention to it.
Me myself? Oh my goodness.
How about that?
Would you say, I guess that's the same thing when maybe the person already knows that they're doing something they maybe shouldn't be doing? Is that regardless? It really doesn't matter. You still.
They may know, just like we know when we're doing something we shouldn't be doing, when we know it. I want you to think how great it was when you all heard Derek a little bit earlier this morning. He said, "Stuff I know I shouldn't be doing." Okay, he made it quite clear. He said, "It's stuff I know I should not be doing." He said, "Nobody has to tell me." He said, "I know myself." That's really is primarily the way it is for us. There are some spaces where we don't know, but as a general rule, we know when we stepped into the wrong space. Now, in our humanity, if nothing is ever said, we consider it to be something that's unenforceable. Especially when we think, "Oh, it's not bothering anybody. I know I'm doing it, but it's not really bothering anybody. So therefore, I can dismiss it or minimize it because I can say it's not bothering anybody, not hurting anybody, not taking anything away from anyone." But the reality is it the right thing? And if they're in your space, and again, if you're on assignment, because everyone that God wants you to speak to, you're on assignment to do it, and the opportunity will be given without your having to force it. The thing is, you will never have to force it. That opportunity is going to be there. You will be given a platform to speak into the life of people if that's your assignment. So all you have to do is wait, listen, pay attention, and it will be staring you right in the face. Now, there are some times, if we're honest, we can go back and look to say, "I should have said something, and I did not." Or I let it get by, and then you feel bad because you didn't. But it means when it comes back again, you got to be ready to do it. You got to be ready to do it. Because if they're on assignment, the opportunity is coming back all over again. If you're on assignment, you're going to face it again. Right. It's like, for instance, I have a pastor friend. He is arrogant as the word is arrogant. He is just as arrogant as the word is. He wants to look the best, talk the best, sound the best, and then has this tendency to be a little bit condescending to others. The opportunity just hadn't been there for me to just bust him all the way out. But I'm just waiting because I know that I can say it to him, and he can't come back and say anything else because I've been an asset for him for a very long time. I'm just waiting for the opportunity. I'm waiting for the opportunity. I'm going to say, "Here's the deal, bro." And I know that if I'm used to say it, it will affect him because I never have, and I've been there to help to support and draw 'em, but it just oozes out. It oozes out to a point where his reputation among the unchurched is damaged. And he doesn't believe it and doesn't even know it. And it's centered around that wonderful game called golf. His reputation in that whole circle of the unchurched, not good. Not good. Because it's viewed as an integrity issue. Okay. Now, so I know that. I know it's off. I know it's wrong. Just waiting for the opportunity. Because I could say, man, stop posting that. I could just say, man, stop posting that stuff. Well, then that doesn't give context or access. Right. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so on the other end, let's say that you're trying to pursue friendship with someone and it doesn't seem like it's just you trying, but it's not working, but you keep on, you're still trying because you probably should just continue to try.
Okay. All right.
But it's just not.
Okay. Here's the deal. You don't try to build a friendship with someone. There is a dynamic development of that without you trying. It presents itself in a way. It's almost like two people are walking and they end up walking in the same direction. And the interaction possibilities keep coming up versus I saw you walking over there, I'm going to come walk with you. That's the distinction. It would just come together and opportunities to engage will increase. And you never have to force them. Friendship is not forced. Instead, here's another one, it's forged. That's the distinction. Because if you try to build a friendship that's forced, it's not sustainable. But when it's forged, it's like something being welded together. Like it's being welded together. And the welding comes from two distinct entities coming together, and it is the welding material that seals it. Whereby, as a result, it's clear that two different things came together. You easily then become friends with someone who you never even thought about pursuing for it to be a friendship. It's because, again, it's forged. It's forged in a way that it fits. It fits. It fits.
I have a question. I have a friend. It was about many years ago. She we had been working for a while, and I knew her or whatever, and she ended up getting married. And then she asked me to be a part of her wedding. Didn't know where that was coming from, so I was like, okay, I'll be a part of the wedding. So once she ended up getting married, eventually she had a child. And then after that, she asked me to be the godmother to her child. So I'm like, okay. So the thing was, everybody was trying to tell me that is not what she's doing. She's trying to be your friend, but she wants to control you. So
But you know you started this out by saying she was your friend.
Right. I felt like she was my friend.
Okay. Okay.
I really
okay.
did.
Okay, go on.
So, but I've had some experiences of some things she's done that you would question the friendship. So,
Now, friends, okay, here's just so you know, and I'm going to let you go on.
okay.
But being a friend with someone can be awkward at times. That is because it's dynamic, and it could be awkward at times. There are sometimes friends just go at each other and stop talking to you for a while, and they come back and start talking to each other. Or one misunderstood what another one said, and they shut down. They block you, and they do stuff. They still your friend. They just took some time off from you. They still your friend. Because you can be made, friends can be uncomfortable because you got to remember, you're in closed spaces with friends. There are things they know. Psalm 55, go back and read that at some point. It said, if it was my enemy that had did it to me, then it wouldn't have bothered me, but it was you. It was you. It's right there. So when you talk about being a friend, what comes with that is adversity, and I'll let you find that in Proverbs. It's adversity comes with being a friend. It's a part of friendship.
So I guess what I'm saying, during this process, we was going on a trip on a trip, and I have issues with where I sit on the plane. So I was asking her, could I sit on a particular spot on the plane, and she's like, sure. So when I get ready to get on the plane to get in the seat, she's looking at me like, where are you going? So I'm like, I'm getting ready to sit here. And she's like, no, I'm not moving. So one of our other friends, she was like, no, Tracy, you can come sit right here. Sit right here. That made me angry.
Okay, then why did that make you angry?
Because I asked her.
Okay,
before we
again, I know what you asked her. Why did it make you angry?
I was trying to answer.
No, but you just said because you asked her and she didn't cooperate with you, right?
Right.
Okay, but why did she make you angry? Why did that make you angry? Because she didn't make you angry. So why did you get angry?
Because I asked a friend if I could sit in a space.
Okay, you just explained what happened.
Correct.
Why did you get angry?
Because I asked my friend, could I sit there? And she said yes.
Okay. So you didn't get to sit there,
Correct.
although you expected to sit there.
Correct.
So, okay, you expected to sit there. So why were you angry? Everything you said is being true,
Correct.
but why were you angry? Everything is true, what you said, but why are you angry? Why did you get angry? Now, you may not be able to answer that. Now you all see, when we drill it all down, is it really what she did, or was it something inside of you? That's the part we got to deal with. Was it really what she did, or was it something inside of you that she triggered? This takes us all the way back to everything we've been focusing on. Cause. Okay, because I could look at her as being such an awful, disrespectful, what kind of a friend are you person, and all these thoughts are going through my head, and I'm seeing things about her I've never seen before, all of this, and now I'm believing what everybody told me. She's not really my friend. Now you see how it goes? All this stuff started unraveling, but the reality is it still is. Why did it make you angry? Now, if you all notice, I always come back to this. You know, you are angry, got it. You explain everything that was done. That's true. All of it being true, not being disputed, but it still boils down to that all being true. Did it make you angry what was done? Because we'll always help us to remind us, to be able to learn this, to help us to remind us. Matthew 15 says something can't come out unless it's already in. Because it's never planted inside of us. Anger is never planted inside of us. It already had residence. So all she did was triggered it. It's okay, but it's helped us to understand it triggered that inside of you because you had become comfortable in expectation of being able to sit in the space that you were comfortable with, and she just blew that away. And that did not feel very good. You did not like it because I just can't believe you did me like this. And it just goes on and on and on. On and on and on. And I do understand. It's all a part of the we all growing. We all growing in that process. You know, you heard Gwen just said that sometimes she want to go blow up the place next door. I mean, you heard her?
Okay.
If she could come up with a way to get them all out of there and nobody knows they were there, she would do it. I promise you.
Okay.
I promise. I promise you that's what she would do.
Okay. Would that be neighbors too, as well as you didn't get your way?
It's just that little it's that little 7-letter word begin with a C and ending with an L. That's all. Yeah, that's all it is. That's all it is. Yeah, we that's one of the inherited things from Adam and Eve. We just want to do what we want to do. You know, that's the only reason that they did what they did in the garden, because they wanted to do what they want to do. but the root of it all comes from the enemy. So the natural response, that's why if we don't walk in the Spirit, the first thing that rears up is our need for control, and we're ready to punish people for not treating us properly. We want to do something to them. We want to, sometimes, so many times you want them to feel what you feel. You want them to feel how you felt. You kind of know it, and some do it so nice with a smile, that passive aggressive stuff, but you really want them to feel what you felt. And it looks so nice. Well, I didn't do anything. Yeah. Right.
So Pastor, I'm going to put myself in Tracy's shoes.
Now you really can't, but go on.
I'm going to put myself in a situation similar to one
Okay, now
she
that's different.
experienced,
That's different. Now go
but
on.
it's going to be hypothetical.
Okay.
It's not going to be actual. So it says right here on page 171 of Defining Friendship that true friends serve one another.
Okay.
You do what is best for your friend above what
Okay.
is best for yourself.
Okay. Okay.
So the seat I'm expecting, based on that, I'm expecting to be sitting in that seat.
So you are going down her road, but go on.
Yeah, I am. Yeah. So I'm expecting to sit there.
Okay.
Because that's my friend. And we have both, hopefully, both have defined our friendship. That it really is true. Either I'm just thinking this is my friend, and if it's not really my friend. So if that's the case, then it would have been easy for her to move because Tracy.
No. Okay.
See,
Nice
it's
try,
more-
though.
more important for Tracy to sit there
Nice
because
try. So let
she
me
was
help
having
you.
some issues.
No, nice try, but let me help you.
Either
Part of the problem with the scenario as described is there probably was a premature decision to categorize the person as a friend. A person who's legitimate a friend has been tested. And it's not that you're putting them through a test, but it is you're engaging with them that validated or confirmed the fact that they are really your friend. Because, and I'll just keep pointing to passage in Proverbs, a friend loveth at all times. A friend is born for adversity. All these things are a part of. It's in the difficult situation how you're able to determine where you have a friend. Not while it's easy going. You could have somebody who hates on you, who will hang with you when it's good, and they could care less about you, but they'll hang around because you already know somebody throws a party. People show up out of nowhere. They don't even know. There are people who break in on funeral receptions. When they know that the food is in places, because of the fact that you don't know who's who, and so sometimes people just come in and sit down and start eating because they know. And what are you gonna say? Hey, you don't belong there. You don't know why. Well, what are you gonna? You can't put them out. That's exactly right. You don't know. So people go around. They show up like, oh, this reception here. What time it's supposed to be? And they say, I'll be back. I got here a little early. And when they find out, they go in there. Let's say it again. That you find because how do you know? What are you gonna do? Are you not checking ID? Unless it was exclusively reserved, then it's open. It's open. It's open. Yeah.
I got my friendship card.
Well, that's exactly right. So too many times we have given them this privilege of being called friend, and they don't qualify. So friends qualify to be called friends because they're proven. And then you go in Proverbs as well to say, the only way you get friends, you got to show yourself friendly. Okay, so in other words, your focus has to be on your being a friend, less about if they're being a friend. Because if you're going to be a friend, it's deeper than somebody being a friend to you. Because now you have to ask, because a friend doesn't have a motive other than to be there and having your best interests at heart. That's what you call a friend. Now, so if I'm looking for them to reciprocate toward me the way that I reciprocate toward them because I call them friend, then I'm already in trouble. Because then you have to ask what was behind my doing it Was it to get them to respond back to me the same way? It's so much deeper. It's so much deeper. Right.
Pastor, how should she have handled that?
She should have just sat down wherever and took the flight wherever they was going. Because you know what was more important? Wherever they were going, not the seat.
When it was all said and done, and somebody else let me sit in their seat at the end while we were on the plane. So she was trying to talk to me, and I wasn't trying to talk to her.
Uh-huh.
So anyway, she says, "I know you're
Now,
not."
so why were you not trying to talk to her?
Wasn't what y'all was angry.
Because you were wanting her to feel some kind of way, right?
Correct.
Okay,
So
now go on.
she asked me. She said, "You know, you're not gonna let this affect our relationship." And I was looking at her like, "Yeah."
So now, let's diagnose this and play this all the way out. And that would be your action toward her could be put on the same plane as her action toward you. You were just as insensitive towards her as she was toward you. Although we are justified, I only did it because she did it, but insensitivity is insensitivity. See, this is so deep, isn't it? Yeah, which is normal, which is so normal. It's like, how dare you? How dare you? And then now you want to talk to me on top of that? Oh, you want to talk to me now? Yeah, I'm gonna talk to you, all right. 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 All right. So and this is really the challenge. The friendship piece puts you in a place where everything else that we're going through here helps to keep you accountable, helps to give you support, gives you role models, and the list goes on. They're valuable. I mean, you will hear that you don't have a real wide circle. You have a circle of people that you're connected to, but you don't have a wide circle of friends. Of friends according to what it looks like. You don't have a wide circle. Just think about it. In some challenging time, do you go through your contact list and just start calling anybody? Because you know that, because everybody on your contact list you have a relationship with. You follow me? You have a relation, but you notice you're not just going and random. Well, let me hit a D, and you're not really doing that. You know, you are very clear about. You have a short list as to who you'll call. And literally, that's telling you who your friends are. You come to know it just by circumstance. You come to know it, although initially you may not have thought you put them into those spaces, but you gravitate towards certain people at certain times. And they're not just anybody. And if you were to check yourself, you find out that that list keeps coming up. That short list is the same one that you've used the most, and not just going through randomly and deciding, or because you did something for them in the past and they owe you. You know, that one. Well, I was there for you. I thought you might be here for me. Just because you're there for somebody, do you really believe that automatically says they're going to be there for you? But in our humanity, we tend to think like that. Well, I did after all I've done for you. Have you ever said that to someone? If you heard somebody say, after all I've done for you, this is how you treat me. After all I've been doing for you, I've done this, I've gone out of my way to do this for you, and all I ask you for this one little thing. Just let me sit in this chair where I really want to. That's all I'm asking. After all we've been through, I've been your godmother of your child. I went and sat in your wedding and I've done all of this. And all I asked for this little stinking seat to sit on this plane, and you tell me that I can't sit in this seat. Yeah, that's all I've done. That's all I've done for you. See if I do something else. It'd be a cold day in hell. You know what they know. No. Yeah. So.
Pastor, sometimes it do seem like the people you do the most for sometimes have a tendency to talk crazy to you, and and you want to say that. Just want a little respect for how well you've treated them.
And that gets back to our own motive and what was behind why we did it. That's why we have to guard our heart, because in our humanity it's going to say, you shouldn't be treating me like this. After what I do for you in comparison to how many people never do anything for you, and you always reaching out to me, and I'm always there, and I always have been there, and you just talk to me any kind of way. So, I mean, it's like, oh, you call me again if you want to. I'm going to lose your number, forget your name, get amnesia, everything else. You got a good one, I'm sure, but come on, I know you got a good one.
Oh no, I'm going to talk about the seasons. I used to feel so bad about friendships that didn't carry over, and I would always wonder, well, we used to be friends. How come we not like that anymore? And then this book helped me to understand.
Now, where exactly are you?
That's chapter 9.
Okay.
Which is, what is it called? I wrote it down. It's chapter 9. I'm not sure of the page. Let's see.
That's
What is it,
Barbara's
245?
helping you out.
Chapter 9. Yes, from stuck to moving on.
Okay.
Welcoming new seasons.
You said
in your
225.
life. Oh no, this is the back where he tells where it all is. Chapter 9, from stuck to moving on. Welcoming new seasons in your
Okay.
life.
Okay.
And it's kind of carrying over into the friend part.
Okay.
But this book helped me to understand not to be afraid of moving on from one season to the next. A friend, this person may have been for a season. When I was in 5th grade, I guess 5th grade to 8th grade, I had a friend. We were just like this. Another group of people that were better friends kind of pulled me away from her and into their group. And I always felt so guilty about that.
You say
Until
you say they were better friends.
No, they were better friends within themselves.
Okay.
Me and her were like that.
Mm.
And they pulled me into their group.
Mm.
And so I just kind of left my friend to the side, and I always felt so guilty about that. But I realized that that group of friends brought me out of a shell. And that may have been why they did it. I don't know. But I probably wouldn't have done a lot of things that I've done in life had it not been for that group of friends who are still my friends today. You know them.
But you abandoned
I did.
your original friend.
I
You
did.
kicked them to the curb,
I did.
never to return.
I did. And I felt so bad about that.
She
but
was she was practicing abuse. But go on.
No, it wasn't abuse.
Yeah, that's exactly what it
No.
was. You abused and didn't know you were abusing the relational capital that had been built over time prior to that. So, okay, I just kind of went a little deeper, but
Mr.
go on.
Pastor.
Now go on. Now keep going. Now keep going.
And also in that same chapter where he's talking about the seasons and talking about being stuck in a season, then I thought I may have been stuck in a season of mourning for my really favorite person in the world was my sister. And when she died, I think I just never really got over it. But after reading this and saying to leave that one season and go into another one, and then I just told the Lord, I said, Lord, it was her time to go. So I'm going to leave that alone because I was always, I wish Sherry was here. Oh, I want Sherry here. I wish Sherry could be here. Oh, I would tell Sherry this. I would tell Sherry that. So, but I.
And see, she wasn't telling me nothing. She just was going.
Oh, Lord.
Well, go.
Commentary.
She wasn't telling me nothing. I said, I could be Sherry. She, I could be a little bit of Sherry. But, yeah.
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 She one of my favorite people
Yep.
too. The new Sherry.
Yeah.
I also I wrote down the list actually of the friends, the 72, the 12, the 3, the distant, and the potential. And I actually have a date with one of my customers who we just automatically hit it off, and we are going to go to lunch on next Monday. Because that was one of the things he said, write down your potentials, people that you want to be friends with. So, I mean, we hit it off, and we talk all the time when she's in the shop. But she's a potential friend.
So we're going to change
But-
it. We're going to change the terminology. We talked about forge. You sort of notice that you're forging a relationship.
Yeah.
Okay, versus
Yeah.
that other one.
Right. It
That
is.
the-
It is.
you
It's
know,
being. It's
right.
been being forged.
Right. Versus
right.
that hitting it off, cause hitting it off.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Yes. And so that was my thing, was the seasons that really helped me so much. And I'm trying to see, was there anything else? Well, that's it for now. But this was interesting, writing down all the people in the circle and I got more people in the 12 and the 3. I know I need to probably, can you have more people, or does it have to be 12, 3?
How often do you interact with all these people? Is there a distinction between these clusters? That's how you. That's how you know.
Okay.
That's how you know.
So it's got to be whittled down to,
Because it's the level of interaction the same, and that's how it distinguishes itself.
okay.
I mean, it literally distinguishes itself because it's what are you investing, who, and at what time and how often, and you gotta know. Because right now, if you notice that there are some of the people who you may have had long-term interaction with at a different point, it's awkward trying to interact, and that's when you can know that the dynamic has changed because you're struggling to be able to talk and trying to find out what can we talk about, and it doesn't flow anymore.
Okay.
That's how you can tell. It doesn't flow anymore. It's like, man, that was hard, and
Yeah.
and like, that is it. It changes. It changes.
And I did have circumstantial work friends from my time at the telephone company who became lifelong friends. Like you said, not all of the people I worked with would I still keep in touch with, but I do have a few lifelong friends and one really close one from when I was working there. So sometimes they do spill over, like Tracy said.
Because they are the exception.
Mm-hmm.
They are the exception in comparison. So we want to spend so how much time do we have? Because we want to spend the rest of this time talking about helping you to recognize or you say no, go on.
So I had a question.
Okay.
Especially when others are trying to make you their inner circle.
Mm-hmm.
So can someone try to make you their inner circle and that's not the person that you would have in your inner circle?
That it's possible, but the people who belong, again, is back to forging, not forgery. It's to forging. It's something that's being forged. Again, it blends. It literally blends. It's not awkward. It's not manufactured. It just flows. Those type of individuals, how you can tell, it's as though you've always known them. It's like you've always known them. The conversation just takes place, and it's because it's there. The connection, the forging. That's what a forging looks like. You meet somebody for the first time and just start talking, and the conversation is just going and going and going. And this is your first time ever interacting with them. It's just going and going and going. And you don't talk like that to somebody you've known a very long time. But right there, it's just going and going, and that's how you know. That's how you know. And I'll give you an example with me, and that would be, and so Gwen has had a chance to experience this, and I'm talking about Dr. Lee, Dr. Larry Lee, is that now this person has been around the world, and I had several of his books, and we had never met face to face, but the first time we met in a room and started talking, is that it just kept going until it was of such to where he said, this is like we're two brothers with another mother. I mean, it's just like that. And anybody who saw it just kind of knew it was like, and so his wife marveled at the fact of, he didn't talk to anybody like this, just like this. And it would be just like that. Just like that. To where we could reach out to each other now and the conversation will just pick up in a more fluid way than some other people in ministry that I know, that I've known for a very long time. It just wouldn't flow like that. It just would not. Because it's one of those things where there isn't the need to speak every day, but it just does this automatically all the time. We just have to stop talking. So when somebody's trying to say, I want you to be a part of my inner circle, let them say that. But if it doesn't dynamically move and be enforced, then it just knows that it doesn't, and it's not personal. It isn't personal. Or somebody say, I need to keep you around. I really need to keep you around because you do some things for me. It's like, okay, I'm around. I'm around. But you always have the right to say no.
Okay.
You always have the right to say no to whatever that request is. Like, hey, could you be over here and do this? Like, well, you can always say no because your personhood is on another path. And that's the part we're focusing on. And so that will tie into what we emphasize. What season are you in? At another point in time, those people may have been legitimate assets and a great need. But if that's not the season that you're in, it's not like there's something wrong with them. It's just that right now, you just might be on fruit and vegetables and you're not eating any meat. Or you might be eating meat and eating no red meat. Or you just might just be on a slim fast. I mean, it just might be, this is the season. This is just the season. And your interest or your need isn't the same. And it's not personal. It's not personal. It's just, so that's for you got to identify what season are you in. And that's what we're going to talk about now. What season are you in? Look at your life. You've read through the chapter, but right now, what season are you in? And that's the part. That's what. Once you identify that, you know what your harvest will look like. You know what it'll look like. What season are you in? Take a look at your life. So we'll walk through this. Maybe I'll just do this for you, and then we're gonna stop. So we're talking about what season are you in? So seasons, as you know, will go through stages. All right. So there's preparation. In the preparation, there has to be preparation before planting. Too many times, we want to get to here. We want to get to plant. We want to get to plant, and there's not been preparation. Because we are in anticipation of this harvest. So what we really want, we want to harvest. Our goal is to harvest. So we find ourselves planting so much. We spend so much time planting to get ready for the harvest. All right. Can you follow what this means? We're always trying to say, well, let me invest in this. If I get this, and this is going to happen. If I do this, and this is going to happen. So we spend a lot of time here. We spend a lot of time here. I mean, I hear people a lot of time, the one saying, I want to be a motivational speaker. And so you know what they do? They start trying to get events. And they hang themselves out there is call on me, is that I could do this. And then right, Sister Barbara, they start saying they start trying to secure events and there's no preparation. Now, when you say, well, what do you mean by preparation? If we just talk about motivational speaking as a whole, first of all, you got to know what kind of content do you have. So first, my preparation is content. Then I had to talk. So if I use these terms, and it's going to help you to know, in spite of whether you're talking about motivational speaking, we'll use these concepts. So there's got to be content, there's got to be relevance, there has to be impact. Content, relevance, impact. And the other thing, that fourth thing would be testimonials. Contact, relevance, impact, testimonials that say, I have done this, and there's a trail that follows me. Because somebody else could say, that's exactly it. Somebody else could say, oh yeah. Somebody else could say, oh yeah. Because this prep is like somebody getting ready to plant something in a garden, and they got to till the soil. They got to draw it all up before you can plant the seed. Before you can plant the seed, you got to get the soil ready. And you can't just plant on any soil if there was something previously there. So this is almost people trying to change their identity. If squash has been planted in a garden before, and you choose to say, I want to plant tomatoes this time, you got to dig up everything that was related to that squash in that soil, or when you try to plant the seed for those tomatoes, it's going to be in conflict with what's already resident. Because what was resident, that soil had been prepared for squash. And the squash had done something, and until you clean that all up or dig it all up so that you're able to do something else. So that's part of the preparation. That's part of the preparation. So many times people start telling you, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do this, I want to do that. And that's okay, because we could call this something else. And we're gonna at some point start talking about vision, and how you can start writing out a vision and all of that. But it would say the emphasis is on that. Social media is a death trap for people out here trying to do this, because they believe I hang anything out here and they can have the glitzy look, and it appears that they know what they're doing. And most of the time, people don't look to see about those four things. So what did I say those four things are? Nobody checks on that. Nobody checks to see who can validate, unless it was their cousin that they paid to say it. So, oh yeah, I had Tom. Tom is great. And then you check who's saying it. It's his cousin. Did you know that, Sherry? It was his cousin. So it was his cousin. And so of course he is. Because I don't know what I'd do if it wasn't for Tom. Yeah, so they got to look at who's giving it the hype. And if this is the same circle who's going to benefit, then of course they're going to say it. But it would be somebody who's disconnected, who's not a part of them, that would be able to do it. So the season that you're in is that you have to ask yourself, what have you been being prepared for? That's going to tell you what season you're in. And say, well, how do I know that? What is it that I'm doing now, and what got me to this? That's what you're being prepared for. Where you are now is a part of a prep. It's a part of a prep see, your prep is always getting you ready for something else. And you could be doing well right now in something, but that is getting you ready for something else. So you still have to ask. If somebody were to try to raise the question to me is, what makes you you? Mike, guys? Okay. What makes you you?
I heard the what have I prepared for, but then you said what am I doing now, and then I didn't hear the rest.
So what have you prepared for? Because what you're doing now could be successful, but that is also preparing you for something else. That's preparing you for something else. God doesn't have you stagnant. Now, we talked about Dead Sea recently. The reason why it's the Dead Sea because nothing's flowing in or going out. It's just a self-sustaining place. And so everything, because God operates on this principle of faithfulness, what you do well, he promotes. He always promotes what you've been faithful in doing so that you're never dormant. That he always does. So you're trying to define your season, and that means being honest enough to go back to say, yeah, really, what am I doing now? And what brought me to this place? Because that's your get ready for. That's your get ready for.
So how much time does he give you when he's doing that transition?
From here, from preparation to planting, you may want to talk about, we could say, let me use the term on the planting, these are opportunities. These are opportunities. He will give you a glimpse of your next phase. He's going to give you a glimpse of your next phase. So you might be given an opportunity to do something. It's not all the time, but it was enough for you to taste it, to know that you were comfortable and that this was a space that you could live in. You're not there yet, but it's like, wow, I could do this. You would say, oh, I could do this. I could really do this. That's what that's what he does. That's what he does. And now it's like I help people know how to improve what they do in golf. So I could justify not trying to do anything else. But yesterday I went to the equivalent of a primary care physician in golf to say, now, you know, when you go to the primary care physician, you're not the primary care physician. Okay. You know, or there was no need to go. So you're not the primary care physician. So I went to this person as a primary, I'll use the term golf physician. And I'll go to him again next Saturday so that I will avail myself to say, whatever I say I do needs to be sharpened. Although, remember, I help other people and I do all these things, but then if I don't do that, then that means then I'm still not being prepared. Are you following it? This prep is always getting better at whatever it is, or you'll find yourself becoming overconfident in that, and then you lose it in that regard. So it's to go and say, so what do? I walk in, I said, hey, I'm coming in for you to take a look at me and tell me what I need to do different. That's what I went for. Now, you know, I could have said, well, you know, I know how to do this, and I know how to do that, and I know how to do this. You know, I've been doing it. No, I'm not going to do that because you're telling me to do this, and this is what I'm used to doing. You see how I go? Well, I'm used to doing it like this. Why are you telling me to do it like this? I'm not comfortable in doing that. You see how I could go? Excuse me, but it went to say, whatever you say, I'm going to follow direction, which means I go back again, and you know what he's done? This is so classic, right? He wrote out these notes to say, here's what you need to be paying attention to and working on in the meantime. Does that sound familiar? That's exactly what he did. He said, here's what I looked at, here's what I see, here's what you need to work on until we get back together. Now, and I'm going back again after having done what he said in order for him to say again after looking at me whether I did what he asked me to do the first time. Is there some evidence that I've done that so he in turn could come back and add something else to it, part of this. You just got a picture of what that looks like. Just me telling you about that just gave you a picture of it. Again, I already know how to do golf. I already know how to do that. I know well enough how to help other people. But is that good enough? You see how easy it is just me saying that as to how as to how you could become so confident. And here's the other thing. I have to pay him to do it. How about that? I have to pay him to do it. So it's an investment at the same time. Or you look at, I'm not going to do that. You have to look at it as an investment. An investment in what? An investment in, now you got it. Now you got it. That's that season that you're in, because again, you ultimately are going to this harvest. You're ultimately going to this harvest. Because this is your goal. And here's the thing, you can't force a harvest, because the harvest is always based on this. It's always based on what's been planted. You know, you can pray to God for watermelons, and you've been planting sweet potatoes, and there are no watermelon is going to come as much as you may want it to. You planted sweet potatoes. Now, so many of the things that are out there that people are hanging out there saying, "Let me do this," they've been planting sweet potatoes and trying to sell watermelons. When they should have just sold the sweet potatoes. There's always a market for sweet potatoes. Because so all you got to do is try to tell somebody they're buying a watermelon and they know this is a sweet potato. There's nothing like it. Trying to convince you this is the new style watermelon. Okay, all right. So we'll stop and wait for questions. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so what season are you in?
Me, everything I touch flourishes. Everything, and everyone who follows the flow is impacted, because every door that God opens for me is my responsibility to open the door for somebody else. So I know He just does that. It's just like, I haven't said this, so I have 4 coats in the trunk, 7 pairs of gloves for men who are freezing outside, looking at what I can do to give and help. So I'm in as in just planting in other people's lives. What you all have heard me talk about is you build the best you so you can give yourself away. So what I'm doing is planting to see how other people can get better. Just keep planting. And so this is the overflow of where people have poured into me. So what I'm doing is I'm just doing that. That's the season I'm just pouring. Have always poured, but pouring even more. Pouring even more. And so it's like a thirsty person, what the Lord is flowing through me can benefit people for them to be able to go. And He's giving me more and more answers to challenges that people might face. And it's just a matter of, just like I was asked to be of this clergy organization, to be the filter for what they do and what they don't do. Not the president, but the filter. Everything's going to be filtered through me. No, you need to talk to this person who wants to get elected. You need to talk to this candidate for Congress. They need to come to you first before they get to us. Well, that just fits everything. So that's kind of what He's doing. He puts me in these places to have influence. That is it. It's just like the gentleman that came this morning, that comes from his having been exposed to me in another setting, not as pastor, but as somebody pouring into him. And then so as a result, he came. But then that came from Jeannie saying something to him. And Jeannie knew I knew him. So then all this, so if there was no credibility with her, she would never say anything to him. And so that's what you have. That's kind of the season. That's the season. That's what he has. He just has. So you run toward what God is doing. You run towards it. And I have the perfect person for me, who's my pastor, that pours into me. Who sees beyond the now. Who sees beyond the now. And he's a candidate for the National Baptist Convention president right now. He's candidating for that. Now, he wasn't looking to do that. That was never on his radar. But he said the Lord pushed him to do it, and he got up and said, this is what I got to do. And you know, he came to me to ask me what I think. Okay? But this wasn't on his radar, but because of he's been in leadership at this level, that level, this level, that level, that level, until the only level he is not is that one. He's been regional vice president, all that stuff. That's the only level that he had, but that was not on his radar at all. But he heard what the Lord said, started going, which means it's not even important that he wins. It's important that he's obedient. Are you following what I'm saying? He's not responsible for the outcome. He's responsible for being faithful to it, following through on what he was told. Even to a point where some of them have tried to come to say to him, why don't you step out and join my team? Okay. Well, what they didn't know is that was the wrong thing to say to him. That just encouraged him more. So that's the season. So that's the season. That's the identified season. You look at what's fruitful coming in your life. And what that says is what's fruitful harvest tells you what's been planted down inside and whether or not you're prepared for it. Like what we're doing now, I could do this all day. Could stand, go talk to groups, talk to people about shifting, redirecting, making decisions, answering questions, doing this at any point. This is me at God's best. This is me at God's best. Doing this is me at God's best. And it's not restricted to church. It's any type of setting. This is me at God's best. And that's only because of what's happened here. That's because of what has happened here. And then as a result, opportunities, and it's to be able to do that. Because I don't need notice. I don't need a time frame. You could just say, can you do this now? Because this is what he's done. This is what he's done. And I know that and understand that because what's in here can come out here. And if it isn't, there's nothing it could do to get ready for it. That's how it's a flow. It's a flow. You don't have to fluster yourself. It's just a matter of looking at what is God manifesting through you right now. That's the season that you're in. And some are afraid and intimidated by the season that they're in and start to question because the enemy doesn't want you to experience the harvest. He doesn't want you to experience the harvest because the harvest impacts the lives of people. It goes well beyond you. You are not the prime beneficiary. The harvest impacts the lives of other people. It's where he's taken. That's what he does. Okay, we'll stop here unless there are some other questions of clarity. So you know, this is our next. This is our next. But what I'm going to ask those of you who are here is come Sunday, I'm going to ask you to let folk know what season you're in. So you got a little bit of time to determine what season you're in, and you will have to make a declaration. You know what I have discovered? I realize what season I'm in, and you don't know how much of an asset that's going to be for other people to hear you say. You understand what season you're in. Well, that is absolutely correct. That is absolutely correct. That you just think about this. You do not go to Long John Silver's and expect to buy a Whopper. You just do not do that. You wouldn't even insult them. Because they know what they do. They know what they do, and they are not going to do it the other way. They're not going to do it the other way. That's what they do. Now, they're the only ones that still grills burgers in a fast food restaurant. Charcoal broil. Who does? They don't do it the same way. They mimicked what Burger King did. That's the whole thing. They mimicked it. They mimicked it because they started in 1954. Burger King did. How about that? Say that's when that's when they started. They started it way back then. The charbroiled burger. Yep. Yes, ma'am.
So I know our lives are like all interconnected,
Right.
but can you be in 2 different seasons depending on like what we're talking about? Can you be in more than one season at the same time?
You already know the answer because there's winter, spring, summer, and fall.
So in every aspect of your life,
You're in a
it's
season.
all in the same season.
You're in a season. That's why I say, what season are you in now? That's what we said. Which one are you in now? No, your life isn't all one season. It's which one are you in now? Like now. All right. All right, here's a quote. It should be in it might be in the book, it may be. God takes our past to use it in the present to prepare us for the future. He takes our past preparation, use it in the present to prepare us for the future, which means everything that brought you to here allows you to flow right now. Everything that you're flowing in right now prepares you to flow in the future. So you're in a season. You're in a season. You're getting ready for something else while being fruitful now. And how can you tell when it changes? Maybe that's a better question. How can you tell when the season changes? When it goes from being continuing to produce fruit and you're just maintaining fruit. Maintaining fruit just means every day I come out, it's the same. The fruitful means I got to start cutting it, pruning it, creating more space, doing that, because it's still fruitful and productive and doing. After you come to a point to say, oh, I can just do this without thinking, I can do this, know this like the back of my hand, then you're just maintaining fruit. Maintaining fruit. You're not growing, you're just maintaining fruit because you don't have to think. You don't have to use your capacity. You don't have to trust God. You don't have to walk by faith. You're just doing what you do. That's why how some people just, that's why some people die on a job and they're fully alive. They flatline at work because it's the same old, same old. They don't have to think. They don't have to think. Because once it reaches that point, then that says you're just maintaining fruit. And he wants you to go to this next space. He wants you to go to this next space. And that's why you don't, here's the thing, that's why you don't get so confused by what's so-called a vocation of what you're doing and to call it and make it think that you're restricted on that as far as what your season looks like. Because you'll say the work that I'm doing here, that's a component of the season. That's just a component of the season. The season is what your whole life looks like right now. What your whole life looks like now. That means everything else you're doing is all a part of the same thing. But you can only be in one at a time. Or if you're in more than one, if you took it in the natural realm, how would you know how to dress if you're in 2 different seasons? Just naturally, I say you'd be like, well, on one side of your body you have this, and on the other part of your body you have that. That's what. So it's almost like God takes the natural to transfer to the spiritual for us to understand it. So that's what that. If you look at that, then that's what it'll be. You are in a season now, and it means taking the time to say, okay, what does this really look like? How did I get here? First question is, how did I get here? How did I get here? There were some things I was doing to get me here. How did I get here? Like for instance, and So Sunday, probably we're going to give you the chance to tell them about how she moved from taking just a regular position at the Urban League to now being called regional vice president. She did not go there as regional vice president. The title did not exist. Are you all following what I'm saying? She was not. There was no housing division. You understand it? So in other words, she went there taking a she can talk about how. In other words, it'll show that it moved from one to this, to this, to this, to this, to this. But it was all about preparation. It was all about preparation, and that will help people to know, because that's an indication of what it is like. I mean, there's some history that, and she'll tell it. There's some history. She ran her own agency out of the church. Okay, all right, we'll stop.
Well, it's not that they didn't like the song, but they didn't like them listening to rock music.
Right.
And they go to camp, and all the kids got excited about Turn, Turn. All us baby boomers remember that song. Yeah. Yeah, so that was bad. I like that story. That was so funny that they didn't know that they were listening to a rock song by the Byrds.
Yeah, that was a sad song to me. It's like, ooh, I never. No, it's just some stuff. No, So yeah. St. Louis has had some different music, so so. See what I'm talking about? See what I'm talking about? we weren't listening. We were not listening to all of We were not listening to all that. It was Motown and Atlantic and all that. Those were the things that I grew up on. Motown, Atlantic, all those. It's like, okay, all right. Any last thing? There was something else. Okay, no, you don't have to wait. We'll take it.
Okay. So you talked about the preparation, the planting, and the harvest.
Right.
But you also said like past, present, and future.
Right.
All right. So in a sense, if you're talking about the present, we're all in the planting stage.
No. Don't confuse. He takes our past to use it in the present to prepare us for the future. Okay. So he takes our past. This is all a part of the preparation. That's all a part of the preparation. What we're doing now is here. This is what we're doing now. And it's these two together. Now, there's something else that he wants to do past what you're experiencing in this harvest time. This is your harvest now, but that's now. That season could change. It changes based upon your faithfulness in experiencing this. How you manage the harvest determines if he promotes you again. Because if you go to Matthew 25, he talks about stewardship. He says he gave one this, he gave one this, and he gave one that. The one with 2, the one with 5 did great, but the one with 1 said, I'm not doing anything with that. And so as a result, and it goes on to say, the one who has shall be given, the one who not, he takes it away. In other words, the one who's been faithful, he always promotes. He always promotes who's faithful. In spite of what it is, he's looking to see, did you manage that? Did you manage that? So he's not looking for, take people who get together and how they come together sometime and sing. He's not expecting the voice of one to match the other one. He's expecting that voice to max. Not match, but to max. That's the distinction. So he doesn't compare. He's looking to see, are you faithful to what I placed in you? So that you don't compare to somebody else. So you don't compare it to somebody else. No, I would not expect the typical person with a ministry or pastoral background to do what I do. Just would not. Just because there's something different right here that has occurred here. That has occurred here versus that. There's something totally different here. There's something totally different here that got me here than what some of my peers who may have been in ministry longer, but it's totally different. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I want to make sure I'm getting this. So, preparation, and at some point, the opportunities, and then at some point, harvest. What I'm hearing in my head, and at some point, harvest, fruit stays consistent. It's back to preparation, getting you ready for the next.
No,
season.
not necessarily back to preparation.
It's not a looping.
It's not looping like again because we want to process it. Just think about it. If you're faithful here,
Mm-hmm.
your faithfulness here is based on what's already transpired. So he's not rebuilding the foundation.
Mm-hmm.
He's increasing the responsibility because you're faithful here. Mm-hmm. Then that means more of these opportunities will come.
But doesn't it also mean that I have to still be growing, learning, preparing?
You don't have harvest if you're not doing that. Your harvest run out.
So that never stops.
Never stop.
Correct. I didn't.
This is just it's always
Right.
much as I describe my going to the person.
Right.
It's nonstop. That's what faithfulness is. That's what harvesting is. It's as a result of being faithful and not taken for granted. Whatever.
I got it.
No. It's like no. It's not. It's nonstop.
And that's what I was seeing in my head, like a loop, but it's not really that.
Not really a loop.
Okay.
Now you just you build on.
Mm-hmm.
You building on the
whole
foundation.
time.
Think of it as a foundation. I'd say, so why don't I put foundation here, and that might help if I say foundation here. This foundation is always there.
So that preparation is also our life experience. Oh, so that preparation is also life experiences, upbringing, all
It's
that.
everything.
Okay,
It's everything.
about us.
It's everything about it. It's your whole makeup. It's your personhood. It's what it is. Your personhood is what has got you to this point. It's everything. It's the sum total of all your experiences. This is what has you here. Not necessarily technical training. It's your life. This is your whole life. This is your whole life. This right here. This is you. Because you can't go to work somewhere and then shut your life off and go resume the other. It still is all the same thing. The tendency is we try to compartmentalize too much and say, well, this is what I do at work. No, that's you're the person. You're the same person who went and who leaves. You're the same person. You're the same person. And sometimes people think I took off my uniform and I can do. No, you're the same person. You're the same. You're the same person. That really is it. And that's what the Lord is calling us to when He says your identity in Christ. Your identity. Because He's saying this. I see what you're doing. You are my workmanship, Ephesians 2. You're my workmanship created unto good works. So therefore He's saying now, and notice what He said further, that He had before ordained before the foundation of the world. That's why you know this is always going on. Philippians 1:6, He who has begun a good work. It keeps going. It keeps going based on your being faithful. Based on your being faithful. That's what this is. Based on you being faithful. Based, yeah, I mean, based on you being faithful. And you can tell because you will have a sense of being wealthier than you ever have been, and that doesn't have to be dollars and cents. But you have a sense of this great wealth because you know that you're flowing where He has you, and you're not fighting it. You're not fighting what He's doing, what He's wanting to do to you. A lot of time He wants to move you out of your place of being comfortable for you to get to experience this. Because if you want to experience the season what God has you in, that says you can't resist what he's doing. I'll give you this last thing. As beautiful as a rose is when it is planted, understand it was a rose beneath the ground. It was already a rose. That rose seed was already the rose. You just don't see it. You get to see it when it ruptures the ground and stands up and say, here I am. It was already a rose beneath the surface. It was already there. So in other words, you're embracing what God is doing. Now you're just on display. That rose was contained in the seed, covered in dirt, and all of a sudden it says, now it's time. And what does the rose do? Stands up. Stands up, and now you get to see all the petals for something that you didn't think. That's why so many people look and say, how can that little seed produce this beautiful rose? Because all this was going on at the same time. And when it was time, it's like, here I am. Here I am. And so if you stop trying to stay hidden under dirt, stand in the dark, and when it starts pushing you up, stand up. Just go on and stand up. Some of us have been trying to still sit down, and the Lord is just trying to say, stand up, and we still trying to sit down and stay in the dark. And he's just trying to say, stand on up. He said, because this is what you are. You are this. And you know what he'll say? And if you don't stand up, you're going to become so uncomfortable. So uncomfortable. Because it's like you're ready to explode. And it's trying to come out. And you're trying to say, stay down, stay down. It's like, come on out. Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know what? You know what that just says to you? It is time. It is time. It's time. It's time. It's time. It's time to stop. It's time. Now that basically that's what this says. That it is time. And that's